one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright. Isn't it time for the stop time? Isn't it time now to stop crying? Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all learn to live together. Peace in peace, peace. Alright, peace. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world we're all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace, make peace, make peace, peace. Alright, isn't it time for the stop time? Isn't it time now to stop crying? Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we all gotta learn to live together. Peace in peace, peace. Alright, peace, peace together. Hello everyone, how you guys all doing? Thank you guys for joining me on Between Two Worlds Shadow Chasing program, and I'm your host, Dark White Sky Cloud, and and I'm a little late, very late, but I actually had a board meeting with our indigenous board, so I have an excuse. The dog ate my lunch. No, just kidding. Last night I was talking to a good friend of ours, Rob Mercury. He's actually got a page on Telegram, and him and his wife Mix, and we've been good friends for quite a bit now. We're both remote viewers, and his dog, anytime, Rob actually does a lot of writings. Like, he puts it on paper and he does all the work, and he tries to, he's what you call the whiteboard warrior. And when Rob does his work, he does a lot of jotting down notes, just like I do. Keep running down notes, jotting down notes. He's got a dog that is, I would say, part Chihuahua and part maybe Terrier or something. I'm not sure. Anyways, he's got a dog that actually likes to eat the paper, like literally the paper. Anytime he lays it on the table or whatever, the dog will eat the damn thing. I mean, he'll eat the paper, like he'll eat it. So I said to Rob, too bad you were a lot younger and that dog was alive when you were a little kid, because if you went to school and you did your homework and you forgot your homework, you could still say you have an excuse. The dog ate my homework. he There's a video of actually Rob and his wife laying the papers on the bed, and which they're not using, and the dog actually literally jumped on the bed and started tearing the papers all apart, and literally was actually swallowing the paper. I'm not kidding you. It was crazy. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to talk about that. And yeah, good morning, guys. Good afternoon, good evening, and also those actually across the world, across the land, and across the nation. And those are in the chat room joining me on the Facebook chat room as well as YouTube. I'm a little late, like I said before. We are just coming in late. Thank you guys for being there for me, and great and long and fabulous support. I do work hard to try and bring out as much information as possible each week, and even daily if necessary, to basically accumulate all these things that are happening across our land, including Canada and across the world. There has been so much turmoil. Farmers are fighting back everywhere across the world. In the European countries, are fighting back. In fact, they're bringing their tractors, they're finding loaders, you name it. They're spraying. They have a whole, like, these giant trucks, tankers of manure, wet manure from cows and pigs, and they're spraying it in the city halls, right on their building, on the grounds, on their cars, on any of the politicians. They're doing on their cars. They're dumping the manure in the front lawn. I mean, they're literally, I mean, you can't even get out of the parliament. If they are in the government buildings, they're dumping the manure there. You know why? Because the governments are actually trying to stop the farmers from existing in business. They're trying to shut down all the farmers completely to a zero, because they're calling it climate change. They're saying that the farmers are actually the problem for the climate problem. So now they're going after all the farmers, destructing all of their vegetables or fruit businesses, you name it, whether it's dairy, beef, you name it, chickens, turkeys, anything with poultry, they are destructing. The government actually wants all of this stopped. They all want it shut down. Why? Why do they want to shut down? Because they're calling it climate change. This is the WEF, the World Economic Forum, or the Summit, whatever we're going to call them. This is Klaus Schwab's idea of destructing. And they're talking about the smart city. Okay, they keep on bringing up the smart city all the time, or smart cities, or the 15-minute cities. It's all across the world. It's not just your local neighborhoods, folks, and not just in Canada or Vancouver or in Surrey. It's all over the world. They are trying to make it where they can control you and control your money. That means that anything happens in your bank account, if you allow your digital dollars, okay, if you gave up all your cash, your money that's in your hand, the cash that's in your hand, if you give it up, you've given up your identity, you've given up your freedom, you've given up everything. I'm not kidding you. That's what this Klaus Schwab is doing. He is doing what the Nazis have been doing since Hitler. And that was Hitler's dream, was to control the money and to depopulate the world. That was, and this Klaus Schwab is a follower. He was a brown shirt. You know what a brown shirt is? Not a brown nose, well, that too, but a brown shirt is someone who actually is a youth that followed the Nazi way. Okay? This is Hitler's way. And Hitler passed away last year. The real Adolf passed away last year. So he has been actually helping to create this for years. It's been ongoing. And your Bush family in the States are German, B-U-S-C-H, not B-U-S-H. Obama, the Clintons are all involved. They're all supporting this. Okay? The Joe Bidons, he's actually part of it. He's been helping out. He's making it where he takes every right away from you. The only man in this country or in this entire world that's trying to stop this, and that is President Donald Trump. And yet he can't do this alone. He's trying to get you to wake up and to say, no, I'm not giving up my cash. Now, this has already happened in parts of Africa as well as India, some areas of India. They've actually, the president in those areas have already announced, including Portugal, that the money, the cash money that you got is no longer worth anything but a piece of paper. Guess what they've done? I saw a video of all this cash full in dumpsters, like literally cash money thrown in dumpsters because they're saying that that their money in that country has no legal tender. How is it that a president can tell you that your money is not legal tender, or prime minister tells you your money is no longer legal tender? They have no say in the matter. They can't tell you what you can or cannot have. Neither of them can. You voted for them, folks. Every country needs to know this. You guys voted for these guys, and they're telling you what to do. Why did you freely vote for them? Because you thought you're going to believe in them, they're going to try to help you? No, you're simply lazy. You didn't really know what you wanted, so, oh, well, he's the easiest one to work with. We'll just vote for him or her. Guess what? It's mostly hims, hardly hers. And these guys have actually gotten away with it. We also now have, if you noticed, a lot of our cities are actually, they're downsizing all the homeless people. They're moving the homeless people out of the areas. Vancouver, Toronto, you name it, all these areas. Did you know one person actually shared his or her story in Ottawa? You will not find anybody homeless in Ottawa in downtown. Homeless. You know why? Because the police come by there every day to make sure they're not anywhere near downtown Ottawa, and they've been doing it long before the convoys even started. Now, why were they taking the homeless, and where are they taking them? They take them outside the city and told them never come back. Ottawa is a long way to travel from one end of the country to the other as far as Ontario is concerned, and they told them don't ever come back to Ottawa or you go to jail. And they keep you in jail because now they're making it where it possibly could be a law that loitering is considered 5 years imprisonment. They're making up stupid rules. Pastor Arthur Pulowski up in the Alberta region, he already served 5.5 months in a maximum prison penitentiary without conviction. They just sent him there, where he actually was doing, and he could have easily done. He could have gotten lost in there, no problem, no record, and he would have been invisible. And guess what? That man would have been gone. History. And nobody, and Premier Jason Kenney, who was premier at the time in Alberta, ordered him to be placed in the Edmonton Penitentiary. How is it your premier has the right to tell the police to have this guy put away in a maximum prison with no conviction, not by any judge, just placed there and left there? He ordered that the bulls, called the guards, to have this man killed in prison. And they ordered to make sure they got the prisoners to do it. But guess what? Arthur Pulaski never got killed. You know why? Because the prisoners heard the story from him while they put him there. And guess what? The prisoners took his side. And they protected Arthur Pulaski, the prisoners, because they knew that was called injustice. And they already knew that the premier was actually corrupt. And they already knew that the police officers are actually corrupt. They already knew that the bulls are corrupt. I used to work in the prisons. I worked in Surrey pretrial as a counselor, so I know the system. And I've watched this. They are doing this in every country and across the world. Every country, even Australia, New Zealand, England. They've already started 50-minute cities already in England. Okay, and parts of it in Australia already. They've already started the 50-minute city. Here, the smart city, they've already started it. They've already built smart city in Surrey, British Columbia here, where City Hall is. Now they're working on the roads up close to my area. Now they're starting to narrow these roads into angles. So they're coming out further and they're singling out people, because eventually what's going to happen when the city, smart city, becomes activated, you have to have a permit to cross that next border, East-West Germany, all over again. I'm not kidding you guys. This is serious. This is actually a real thing. And I was trying to figure out who's the one. How is it these guys are so easily manipulated? Your mayors, and are told what to do. Even though the mayors will say, "I'm not listening to these politicians. I'm not going to take their word for it. No, I'm going. This is my city. I'm the mayor. I'm not going to do this." Guess what? The premier has authority over the mayor, and the premier will say, "Mayor, if you don't do your job, we will arrest you and put you in jail because you went against the rules." Right? Wendy says in the chat room, we already live in the bush, but looking at moving even further into it. Yeah. And they're even, well, to let you know this too, they're even what they're doing. They're trying to get people out of the bush, out of their off the reservations, native people off the reservations. There's over 98 in Alberta right now as we speak, over 98 plus forest fires that were not accidental. They're not lightning. They were intentionally started. The fire department even said these were intentionally started. Okay. Why were they intentional? Because the one person responded back. He said because they wanted to get them off the reservations to send them to Edmonton or the closest city, and they have to stay in the city because they want to create the smart cities. When you're on a reservation, the government has no jurisdiction. So the only way they can get you off the reservation is to burn you out. They've done that back in the 60s. They've done that in the 70s. And other reservations in British Columbia here, in Burns Lake, they did it. Way back in Burns Lake, there was a reservation, and these people were living in the forestry region, and the government wanted to put in a dam. And these guys said, "No, we don't want you to put a dam here. This is our own house, our own territory." And they said, "Well, we'll sit down. We'll talk about this. Come gather with us in this hall." And they gathered together just to say, to basically discuss it. While everybody left their homes to go discuss it in the hall, the government went out and burned every house down to make sure that you could not go back to land that was actually occupied. Any child or wife or anybody that was still living in that house was killed to make sure you have no witnesses, no proof. This happened in Burns Lake back in the 60s, and it's still ongoing. It happened to to other people, the Ojibwe. It happened to another tribe in eastern coast of Ontario. They themselves, the government played the same kind of game. The British officers got to come to a church meeting, have all the wives and the children go to the church meeting. And guess what? When the children went to and the mothers went to the church, the British actually burnt them inside the church. They were burning the church, and they locked them inside while the men were trying to fix a forest fire somewhere else because their houses were on fire. This is how the government's been so deceivable, and actually they've been doing this for generations here in Canada. Whether they do that in the States, I don't know. But our country has been violent for centuries. Our government has been corrupt, very corrupt for centuries. And we let them get away with it. And they'll always say, oh, well, that's just history. You know, it won't happen again. Oh, that's history. Won't happen again. Yes, it did. Okay. Mick says in the chat room, in the YouTube chat room, he says, here in Northern California, you can't go to a baseball game or a rock concert and pay cash for any food, drinks, merchandise, and even the admission tickets themselves. It's just the beginning. Yeah, they won't let you pay cash. The government cannot stop you from paying cash. It is illegal. They cannot do that. It's illegal. It's a federal offense. It's an international offense, actually. It's an international offense. They're trying to get you to believe that your cash is not worth anything. So they'll make up a lie. This is what they'll say. Oh, well, the money's because of the big C at the time. And also when you touch your money, it is filthy and it may carry the V on it. And so when people touch it and you pass it back and forth to each other, that's why we want to get rid of the dollar, your cash, because it has the V on it. That's their excuse. They're going to use that excuse. It has nothing to do with it. We've been passing cash for generations. We've been passing food back and forth. You have cashiers that you've been handing your food to them back to you, handling it. Your cash has nothing to do with it. You've been handing things and shaking hands for years. Did you ever get sick? Did you die by holding someone's hand? No. Right? Wendy says in the chat room, they're trying to that here in Australia too, but you can't refuse cash. It's legal tender. Yes, it is. It is legal tender. But know your rights, guys. Your cash cannot be refused. I don't care what your federal government says. Your cash is made in a mint. Mint. Okay? A mint. That is legal tender above all politicians. Okay, you have elected politicians. Your money is valued over them. Okay, it has legal tender. Any government tells you, oh no, it has no legal tender, your cash is not worth anything. They're trying to get you to burn your money, throw away your coin, so they can make everything digital. And when they try to do that, here's what they're going to try and do. They're going to try and control your account, your bank account. They're going to tell you that you can't buy any more than 2 items a piece. They're going to tell you that you're limited what you purchase. You can't buy any more than $200 worth of stuff. Then they'll tell you what you cannot buy off that shelf, because they're going to close off that aisle again like they did before during the big C. Or you can't buy this, but you can buy that. Meantime, anytime you do use your digital card, they know what you're buying. They know exactly everything that you do, following you everywhere, even where you get your gas. And they're making sure by 2025 that you do not drive a gas run vehicle ever again. They'll take it off the road, and they're going to make you drive an electric vehicle. If you don't have one, you bike it. If you don't have a bike, you walk it. If you can't walk, too bad. You're called a depopulated, wasted way of life. And they rather see you die than actually try to say, can you help me with this? Because the government's is no longer going to help you. They'll pretend they're going to help you. but they don't care about you. Never have. You are nothing to them. Every time a politician is elected in government, he becomes a millionaire. If he's already a millionaire, he's going to become a billionaire before he's done government position, because he's invested in properties above you. He's invested in money from you. He's made more money. He or she's made, mostly he, has made more money than you have ever had in your entire life. Why do you think you'll always be below the average pay rate? Why do you think they're raising the rent so high? Why do you think they're taking away your natural gas? That's the next thing they're going to try and do, because they don't want you to survive the winters. They're going to make it illegal that you cannot make even a campfire. And if you make a campfire to stay warm, then you go to jail. You can't even burn fire. You can't even burn. In Ontario, they made it a law. To pass the law, it's illegal to burn firewood in a fireplace. They're calling it pollution. They're calling it carbon. You're releasing carbon in the air. You're causing people to get sick, which is bullcrap. We know that, right? Yeah, you need to add a horse and cart to the off-grid supplies. Listen to this. They don't want you to have any cows or horses or anything either, because that's considered as releasing of carbon problems, because they want you to put plugs on their asses, because cows are considered as a carbon problem. Bill Gates even wanted all the cows to be plugged on the rear end, so that smell of manure doesn't smell the air. You see what I mean? This is what they're trying to do. They're trying to stop you from having anything and anything that you have always wanted in your life, like any type of thing that you've always decided to have, whether you want it. That's why they're trying to get rid of the farmer. They don't want the farmer to have anything in his or her freedom. The farmer is the last of the freedom living warrior. They are your food supplier. If you don't have your food in your garden, they're the ones that are going to take that from you. The government's trying to take that away from you. Yeah. Heard that about applying to a tax here on cow farts. Totally ridiculous. They want to tax the cows. Anytime a cow farts, you got to pay tax. I wonder how many times. I'm going to wonder what's going to happen when we start farting. We can start paying tax after we fart too. You watch. Because they're going to make sure that we will no longer eat regular foods. They want us to eat insects. Why do you think they want us to eat bugs? Because that slowly poisons you. Bugs cannot be digested for long. They're only, if you need to survive as a quick survival skill, that's only for one day, but not for life. Okay, but it's not actually bugs that eating insects. You eat the worms. The worms are your actually main food supply, not bugs. Okay. Thank you. I just got a confirmation here. Got knocked off the wall. I have spirits that come in my studio, and they're there, and I'm very outspoken about what I say, and then things fall off the wall. I I got to tell you the story. Thank you guys for reminding me. I went grocery shopping yesterday with my wife in the superstore in Surrey. We're going up and down the aisles, and so one particular aisle has the oil, where you get for cooking oil. Well, at the very end, there are 1 gallon plastic jugs of oil, and they're stacked up in 4 to a box. And there's no way the boxes can crush. They're hard boxes. We watched, or I did, my wife went over to get a small bottle of oil, and I would say about 10 feet away, about 8 feet away from the end of the aisle. The whole box looked like someone actually shoved it over, like boom. Over came the oil, like gone across from us in the aisle. I looked back at my wife and said, "Oh, the ghosts pushed the oil over." My wife was going to go over and pick it up. I said, "No, don't touch it. Let it be, because there's a reason why that's been done." So we went to the next aisle, and I went to go get some tartar sauce for more fish. And my wife walked by the shelf, grabbed one of the glass jars, put it in our cart, 4 feet away from behind us, a plastic container threw itself like it was thrown off the shelf across the floor and hit the other side of the cabinet. Okay, nobody was in the aisle, just her and I. And I said, "Oh, the ghosts are following us." Okay, they're getting our attention. Even the people in spirit world are pissed with the government. They're upset. And the thing is that they don't want us to suffer. And they're preparing us. They're letting us know what to expect. They're pissed off in the spirit world as well. They don't want us to suffer either. That's not what our life is about. Our life is about having to conquer life and fulfill our dreams. But these bad people, okay, this is all part of the WEF, the World Economic Summit. These are the people that have been trying so hard to destroy our lives. They've been doing it for centuries and for hundreds of years. And this is supposed to be that time of this life. Okay. 2023 was the time they're going to try to destroy it. And this is the time of the cabal. They're trying to hang on to whatever's left to scare the living crap out of us, to scare us. They're hanging on tight. They're trying to do everything they can to say, okay, here's what we're going to do. This is what our plan is. This is what we're going to do. We're going to create this smart city. We're going to create a food shortage. We're going to create all this that you cannot have. No human person has any right to starve another person. And you're giving that right to the World Economic Forum. Every one of you. You're giving them the right. You can't just stand there from a distance like, oh, you guys, report you to my politicians. Your politicians don't care. You got to get out in the street. You got to protest. You got to stand there and say enough is enough. Stand your grounds. Stand with your friends. I don't care if the other guy is actually jabbed. I couldn't care less. They're just as much upset, even more upset than we are. Okay? The other reasons coming up next, and I will tell you something else. Liberal Party is bringing back the C passports and possibly mandatory they want us to all get jabbed again, or to get jabbed, period. Those that are unjabbed, they want us to all get snake bitten, or we don't have access to food, no access to travel, no access to drive. And they want, like I said before, they want us to have the passports again. Or if you do have your passports, you may have thrown them away, but guess what? They want you to continually be jabbed until you die, because that's what it's been doing. It's been actually killing you. There has been so many snake-bitten injuries. People are dying from heart attacks, cancer, headaches, or backaches, back pains, leg losses. I'm telling you, skin deterioration. There's people actually, their skin is actually literally falling off from these jabs, from the snake bites. I've seen photos. It's horrible. And yet you want to support Fisser. You want us, and everybody's supporting all these name brands, and they go and you're watching a football game or baseball game sponsored by PH, sponsored by JJ, sponsored by you know who. Every snake bitten company. They're making sure you get, and even Trudeau himself, even when he went to Hollywood, the guy I thought to myself, why did he escape to Hollywood? Why did he leave Canada when we actually need to get this whole garbage all cleaned up from what's been going on? He's tripled our taxes. He's totally ignored the million people that had an ice, their houses, their power went out. Over 1 million houses had lost power. They had an ice storm, not a snowstorm, but an ice storm. It's all ice. Everything froze. And no power for almost 2 weeks. And here are these politicians. 2 ladies are wearing parkas, and you can see the breath from the cold air. And they're outside being interviewed. And Trudeau stood there wearing a suit coat, regular suit coat, no jacket, no nothing, standing outside as if it's not even cold, and he's talking on the mic, and you don't even see his breath. What does that tell you? You don't see his breath on the mic. What does that tell you? It's certainly not CGI, because the real Trudeau is gone. This one was replaced. So who's controlling him? And why is our country still in a loop? Why are the people still trying to protest in Ottawa on the grounds? They're wanting to voice their voices, and yet there's 16-year-olds that have fighting for their rights of freedom, 16-year-old boys, and were also barred and banned from coming on to stand on the Ottawa grounds by the police. The OPP will not allow them on to walk on the Ottawa grounds. I wonder why. Because the kids have power. And the judge said if these boys walk on the grounds, they go to jail. Who is corruptly paying these judges off? Who's paying off these officers, these OPPs? They already know it's against the law what they're doing. That's a federal offense. They already know they're breaking the law because they're walking the lawn. Because that lawn did not belong to the police. The lawn, all that in the grounds is paid by our taxes. We have that right to walk on there, but they're telling the kids that it's trespassing. It's open territory. It's not. Why would you call it trespassing when everyone else is on the grounds, but nobody else is protesting? They're protesting about, guess what? Taxes, Canada taxes. Because anybody who's an employee working for taxes in Canada, you can protest on the grounds. But anybody else who's protesting about something else, you're not allowed to walk on the grounds. Get it? You can't take your vehicle down the street if you're protesting to want your freedom. But if you complain about, and if you actually are Antifa, or if you complain about not getting paid well enough as working for Taxation Canada, guess what? They'll let you on the grounds. Antifa, no problem. Oh, let Antifa do their thing. They're nothing but Nazi followers. We'll give them a hands up. They need that. Really? Are you guys that dumb? And you let these idiots do this? You know, you watch the cops show up riding these big, huge freaking Morgan horses. Okay. 17 hands tall, these horses. They don't need to ride those horses that tall. Well, I don't get it. Why are they riding horses that are twice the size of an average 16 hands tall horse? Average horse is 16 hands, which is like a racehorse height. They're riding horses even bigger than the horses. These horses are made specifically to knock you down. Okay? They're made to stomp on you. That's why they had these trained. These are trained, these are to knock over people, to actually stomp on you. They train them to actually take they'll pull it, they can throw them back, and they can stomp on you and kill you if they have to. And then they say the horse is defending itself. These are called army horses. Did you know that? You guys didn't know that, did you? Those are militarized army horses. That's what they're used for, is in the military. Why are they riding militarized horses that big? Your average horse is 16 hands tall. These are 17, 18 hands tall horses. These are bigger. Okay? They're used for the military. So who's wearing that uniform? Are these the Canadian men who actually represent the police force of our country, or are these actually Americans in disguise? And they're actually military undercover as officers. Pay attention to the markers, to the badges on their shirts and their outfits. They have to show the proper badge if they're Canadian or American. Watch carefully. Okay? There's a reason why they're there. These guys that are on the Ottawa grounds, they're not Canadians. They're not Canadian officers. I can tell you that right now. No Canadian officer has the right to wear a beard, a full beard, as an officer. They have to have a mustache. That's that's their rules. Mustache, goatee, or you're allowed this, but you can't have a full beard. This was a scruffy, bearded officer. Okay, that was picking on the kid. And he didn't care about listening to the kid, to the 16-year-old. He didn't care about him. He wanted to rough him up. He was waiting for him to actually say, he said to the officer, said to him, go ahead, touch me. I want to take you down. And he said these words, touch me once, I'll take you down. I want you to take me down. I want you to touch me, please, so I can hurt you. Please, touch me. Go ahead. I want to hurt you. Really? Why are these officers getting away with it? And it's even recorded. Even the father is standing in the distance and he's saying, look, that's not my one son that you actually brought him on the grounds. This is my other son. Well, I don't care. They're all the same. You see what I mean? Even though he was no longer barred forever, he was limited to a certain time and it was expired. And meantime, the police don't care. As far as they're concerned, you make that mark once, whether you are banned for up to a certain date, it makes a difference. As far as they're concerned, you're banned. The officers have the right to ban you forever without even a judge to make a decision. If that officer is there and he put your name down, he can actually, and he'll do it. Even though you can try all you want, you would have to go to court to win your case to go back to the right to go onto the grounds, to walk on the grounds. Here's how it works, folks. You ever heard of a mask? You ever heard of wearing something different just until you get on the grounds? You know, undercover, so to speak. Walk up there and then take a mask off when you're there. Say, "Here I am." Pretend to be pretend to be an employee that you work for Taxation Canada. Walk on there, then turn your freaking sign around. Say, "Hey, think about it, guys. This is how you can get in there." But no, you have to use your ego. And I'm not going to pick on you guys completely, but you use your ego in there. Oh, you won't let me on the grounds. Yeah, see. No, you're not getting anything out of it. You're not doing anything for this, right? Look at all the guys that were in Coots in Alberta. They protested. Okay. Nobody's causing an uprising. Nobody had any guns or weapons of mass destruction. But guess what? 3 corrupt police officers, RCMPs, too bad to say this, 3 corrupt RCMP officers they went to their station, found some guns that were actually seized from another group of people, brought them over in the trunk of their car and put them in on location where they gave them, and then they'll say, oh, look at here, these guys have weapons and they're trying to kill somebody, so we're going to arrest these guys who are the leaders. And they added the pastor, Arthur Pawlowski, to the weapons. They included him in it, saying that he's the one that actually got these guys to go get weapons. No, he didn't. He never said a word. I watched the video. He actually asked everybody to pray. Pray. Had nothing to do about getting weapons. Nobody ever said anything about getting weapons to defend themselves. None, ever. But what they do, they take these guys, which I have a letter sent from one person to me. I shared that story a couple months back. These guys are still in jail. They still have not been convicted yet, nor even going before a judge. It's been over a year. They're still in prison. They still have them. The charges have not been brought up. They're actually invisible behind bars. They have not even been fingerprinted, nor have they been in front of the judge yet. They're still being held in prison. They're captors, like as if you're being taken by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. They hold them there in prison with no rights to contact a lawyer. They hold them in there and they keep them in there. You are invisible. One man was able to sneak a letter out to a person through someone else who's a prisoner in prison to get to that person. They had to pass it around. They had to pass it out, sneak it out, pass one person to the other to say, here, I'm still here. I'm in prison. They got me here, but I was never sentenced. That's how they do it. Our government in Alberta is actually so corrupt. They're taking people who are protesters and putting them in prison behind bars with no conviction, not to be sentenced. They're not even sentenced. They're just placed into a maximum penitentiary, not halfways, not a halfway house. Okay, not a pretrial. You're in maximum prison, and they leave you there. You're under a code number, not a name. First name and code number. That's it. That's all you are, just a number. They don't care what happens to you inside. They'll feed you. That's all you get. No other rights. And they're trying to do this, and they're going to try to scare the. It's a scare tactic. They want to get you to give up your rights. Out of all of this in Canada, scare you and say you can't do this and can't do that, or I'll take you to jail. Well, guess what? You can't do this alone. Don't protest alone. If you're going to protest with groups, lots of people, not 3, 4, 5. I'm talking about hundreds, thousands. What happened to you guys in England, as well as European countries all across the world? The people are out there in the millions, okay, on the street protesting, standing up for their rights. In Canada, you're lucky if we have a few thousand. What the hell happened to Canada? Oh, well, I'm too busy. I'm too busy. Give me a break. I wish I could be out there. Real seriously, I wish I could be out there, but my wife has got her cancer, her leukemia. If she wasn't sick, I would be out there. I'd be out there with you guys. But I figure, well, hey, you know what? Instead of me being out there to do this with a picket, I can be out here sharing with you across the world what they're doing, standing up for their rights. Because they need more videos like you and I. They need more videos to be shared all across the world to know what's going on, because that's why we are called whistleblowers. That's why we are searching for our freedom. That's why we're standing up for our rights. We're standing for our rights. We have rights as man and woman. Okay, we're born in this world for one reason, is to live our life in freedom and love and joy. But when someone sabotages it, they work for the serpent. Okay, God never brought us here to suffer. Never did. Any church tells you, oh, you have to suffer. Bullshit. If you allow yourself to suffer, that's fine. That's your choice. If there's certain things that are in your way that says, oh, I'm suffering because of this, then do something about it. Get others to help you, show you what, I need some help. What do I do? Give me some advice. I need some help here. People will always give you guidance and show you what the next thing you can do. If you have access to information, yes. Elders do have more difficulty because a lot of them don't have computers. They don't. They depend on the media to come to their home and interview them. That's all they've got. They don't have computers. Lucky if they even have a cell phone because they can't afford it. A lot of them don't. I've talked to a lot of elders past my age. After you pass you're in your late 60s. A lot of these guys are even worse off than I am. More crippled up. Most of them are actually snake bitten. They're in worse shape than I am. But we should never let them suffer either. They don't know what to do. And our country does not give a crap. Really, our country doesn't. And yet, you know what? All these mayors can do is what the mayors do. They'll go and do all these events with people. Oh, we're gonna fight for this. We're gonna stand up for this. We're gonna stand up for this. Stand up for this. But when it comes to a story that a person is suffering, or a group of people are suffering, elders, I don't see the mayor there. Never showed up. When McCallum, when the elders are suffering in this area, our mayor McCallum, before this Brenda Locke, McCallum didn't give a crap. He was in it for the money. Like, he even admitted it. I'm in it for my millions. This man made well over maybe $2, $3, $4 million before he left government, before he left as mayor. He wanted to stay as mayor because he makes money. And a lot of that money was not from our government. That money was actually handed to him. Here, I want this. Here is a gift for you. Here, I want this. I'm surprised this man is not behind bars. If we tried, he was charged for mischief because what he had done at one time, which was totally proven that he actually was in the wrong. And somehow a judge who was a friend of his that he hired to be the judge helped him get away with the case, and he won and made this lady who actually had no idea that she would have been the one that they went after, and she didn't do anything wrong. Supposedly she ran over McCallum's foot with her car. She was nowhere near the car. It was actually proven on film. But he said, oh, she ran over his foot. Next thing you know, he wanted to charge her, the whole 9 yards. Attempted murder. Even McCallum's girlfriend said it was attempted murder. Those are her words on the radio. It was attempted murder. Really? Nobody wants to kill you, McCallum, but you kill me because you don't give a crap about people. Never did. All you care about is yourself and your money. Okay, same thing, same as during C, and now politicians are still painting those who are unV'd as terrible people. They incite the violence. Yes, they do. Here's the thing. As you're absolutely right, Wendy. They do incite the violence. And, when we're purebloods, we are purebloods. I'm a pureblood, and I'm proud of it. Okay? I'm proud of it. And anybody tells me that I should be this and I should be that, no. It was never proven. When they brought out this VEED, they said, oh, you need to take this. And I went, no, I'm not going to do it. My wife didn't do it. We're going to stand up for her rights. We're not going to do it. Because we already know it was never proven that actually can do any good for you. Because the word vaccination, even my wife was there with us in her doctor's office, and he said the word vaca is actually Latin word for cow. Do you guys get it? Vaca means cow. Cination means walking, like lining up of cows in Latin. So you're lining up of cows. So that's basically, think about it. You're lining up cows in the arm. You're moving everybody. So yeah, it gets to be crazy out there. So like I said before, this is something that we need to look at, and we should be very strong to stand our rights. But when Trudeau said today, and his Liberal Party even announced it today, that they're going to try and bring back the passports, that needs to stop. Okay. We don't need it. There is none of it here. There's no traces of it anymore. People are still using that word, C. Okay. They're calling it a C. Oh, I got this the other day. I had the C even. And I go like, no, you didn't. You had a cold, and one of our very good friends has got a cold. You can get a cold if you actually were hanging out with people and someone actually had it and you're around them. It's natural. If your immune system's down low, anybody will tell you. If your immune system's low and you're not yourself, then you will. And if somebody actually was ill or sick and they sneeze in your face and you end up getting it 2-3 days later and you go like, oh, that's natural, because our bodies, like my friend Joanne, who's actually a naturopath, and she's a traditional woman, she knows her stuff, and she'll say to you, your body takes on so much of the garbage in the air. Our bodies are meant to take on all the garbage in the air. And then what happens is that we start to feel sore throat or itchy throat, or we feel like you want to cough or sneeze. That's what you're doing is actually called an expectorant. You're spitting, you're trying to get it all out, and you'll sweat it out. And you do it for 3 or 4 days. What you're doing is you are getting rid of all the garbage out of your body again. That's natural. It's supposed to happen. If anybody says to me they never get sick, well, good for you. But people, most of them, 90% plus, they do get sick. But when they do, you feel better after it's all gone. And some people say, well, I do traditional medicines and I'm over in 3 or 4 days. Great. That's what you're supposed to do. Great. No problem. Right? Whatever you make, and if you think it's going to help you, go for it. Thing is that people are forgetting That's so simple. It's so simple to learn to take care of yourself and learn to stand up for your rights. You have to learn to stand up for your rights. That's the way it works. Okay. Um, all my friends are sending me pictures and videos all across Canada, or all across Canada. Actually, they were showing these barricades now. They're coming in closer, like a diamond shape. And it said the signs down there says "Smart City Complete." That means that that neighborhood is ready when they're starting to create the smart city. That means they want to go after you want to create what we call the carbon footprint. What I'm pointing out is, guys, you don't have to accept that. Anybody tries to block you from coming into any neighborhood whatsoever, you go in. Don't abide by their rule, because they're trying to. What they're going to try and do is get the neighbors to stop you from entering. There won't be any police there. It's actually the neighborhood is going to prevent you from coming in, and they're going to believe it. They're going to try and see if it gets someone to be convinced that if you go into their neighborhood, you're going to get them sick. That's what they're trying to do. That you cannot visit your grandmother. You cannot visit. You say your mom's in that neighborhood. Oh, you can't go see her. You pass your 15-minute city area. That's what they're trying to do. Well, you have to get a permit, and that's going to cost you. So, and then that is going to cost you your carbon footprint. You're going to get that permit. So that means you're using up points in that carbon footprint. That's what they're going to try and do. They're going to play the game of carbon footprint. When I dreamt about this, I heard it and I dreamt about this, oh God, years ago. I didn't never thought, and they've made so many movies of this for years. And here all of a sudden now they're thinking about using that same idea. Anytime you see a movie, they're showing you what to prepare for. They're showing you what you need to do. Why do you think they put us in those 2 years of sort of half-ass lockdown? They're trying to brain train you to get used to it and go back doing it again. No, don't ever. Right? Travis says, yes, yeah. Catherine says, yeah, the judges do get extra benefits. Let's see. It was all the women's fire training team that set the wildfires in Banff. That's what they said. That's not true. No, women's training team did not start the fire. Actually, it was started by what they saw, what happened in Banff. There were witnesses. The video recorded this guy. There was like 4 guys in a white truck, and they had torches. And the white truck, it said Government of Canada. Did you know that? It said Government of Canada. It actually had green letters on it. And they got out, no hard hats or nothing. They took out a torch, those big, huge torches, turned on the tank, turned on the torch, lit it, and they just brushed they just torched it, and then they threw it back in the truck and drove off. That's what they do. It's not controlled. And they're blaming the all women's fire training team. No, it had nothing to do with them. In fact, Trudeau even told there are so many fire departments that offer their services to put out the fires in Alberta, and Trudeau says, no, you don't do it. Even the farmers even tried to they want to put out the fires themselves, and they have their own front end loaders, and yet other farmers are volunteering. They're all partnering together to push dirt up to keep the fire from actually going past any further. They sent the RCMP over and told the farmers to stop doing it and to let the fire go through and burn the buildings down. Did you know that? To let the buildings burn down, let the fire go through. Who had the right to tell them that? That's what the RCMP were told. They were told this and told the farmers to back off or they go to jail. They get arrested. Now you understand what I'm talking about, folks. Why are they doing this? It happened in Fort McMurray a few years ago, just before the Big C. Okay. Remember Fort McMurray? That was all started purposely. That was on purpose. 3/4 of the city burnt down. Okay. 100,000 homes. 3/4 of the city burnt down. And what did Trudeau do? There's even a Russian fire department is willing to fly all the way down from Russia, come in and put out the fire. And he said, no, don't bother coming to this country. Another country that was close by, the United States. Yeah, the United States Fire Department also offered their service to come across the border to help put out the fire in Fort McMurray. And Trudeau said, stay away. Let the fire burn. He took great pleasure, and they said people video recorded him watching him, and he smiled when the houses were burning down. He smiled. He wasn't showing sadness. He was like, he was with glee. He stood there and his eyes closed, like, that's all he did. There's a video of him actually just enjoying this. I got photographs of it. He loved the idea what he had done. Right? Some of them worked by laser beam, yeah, but most of them are started by natural purpose. They actually put them on purpose. Is to create the people to go to create a 50-minute city. This is what this is all about. This is my theory. Okay? Think about it. They cannot take anyone off a reservation unless they're forced to, because the government cannot walk into the territory. So the only way they can remove them is creating a fire. Now, if there were no trees close by the reservations, there's no other reason that they can try to do. They would actually try to figure out something else. Why do you think they went after Paradise, California? Did the same thing. The whole city, the whole town, the whole city of Paradise burnt down. The whole city burnt down. My very good friends, who actually had a radio station, BBS Radio, based out of Paradise, okay, Don and Doug Newsom, and their house got burnt down and their car got melted. Not burned, melted. And all the green trees never burned. Not one tree burned. All the trees in all the neighborhoods stood there green. Everything else burned around it. I don't get it. What the hell happened? How come the trees never burned? But yet, how can a car melt at a higher degree of temperature? Think about that one. Yeah, and their studio. Well, their studio was based out of their house. Like, they lost everything. I remember when I talked to Dawn on the phone, like when I heard about this, like, holy shit. So I went down there and I called Dawn up and I said, well, what do you want to do? Like, he lost everything, all their memories, all their photographs, everything, family, the whole 9 yards, everything was gone, all the history. Okay. So they had to start from scratch. All they had was their clothes on their back. That was it. Money in their pocket and clothes on their back. We did a major fundraiser for them, for a lot of people in that town, so they can get the radio back on again. So, I mean, people don't realize these towns, even Lillooet and BC, was started same way, purposely, because and here's why Paradise burnt down. There was a Canadian military base. They wanted to build a Canadian not Canadian. The military wanted to build a base there, a military base on the outskirts of the Paradise. They said no, they don't want it, because all you see is planes landing in the whole. Like, they didn't want military anywhere near Paradise, California. So that's why they feel that these guys in the military burnt it down. They feel that they're responsible. Here's I'll tell you why. Because the same thing happened. There was a town meeting in Lillooet, and they asked the same question. Another military, not Canadian, another military group came in and said, we want to build a military base out here. And the Lillooet town councils and people said no. Guess what? 3/4 of the town burnt down. Anytime anybody requests to actually build a military base in your area and you say no, they burn your town down. And if you did say yes, then you would be pushed out of your town. They would evacuate your house and they would take it over. Either way, you lose the town. Because now, why would they take Lillooet? Why would they take Paradise? Because there's something underneath that town or towns that was important to them. They got something under there already that's established already. Think about it. I mean, when Gene Decode even said, anytime they want to move you, there's already something down below that has already been moved. So there's an underground tunnel underneath that ground, underneath the town. That means they're trying to get you out of there so they can create new bases above the ground from the underground tunnel. That's what makes sense. You know who resided in Paradise? Special Galactics lost their lives with the deep evil dust bunnies agendas. They were there for good, but evil want them gone. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, Catherine, you're right. You're right. That's very, because people, why would they name the town Paradise? I mean, that was a very nice town. In fact, Dawn said to me, anytime you get to come to California, I would love to, and I was seriously considering coming to California and visit the guys, because they're really super guys. I mean, I was part of that radio station back in 2003, 2002, 2003, and I was working with them off their station for a good couple of years. Ariel Louise is one of the original ladies that actually was friends of, or close friends of, Dawn and Doug. Sadly, she passed, but she was the one that got me to join the station. That's where I went from doing regular radio, from AM to FM, to working to an internet radio. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing internet. So I pretty well been around it for a long, long time. Okay. So, like I said, that's what was going on. Liberal Party is bringing back the Sikh passports, and possibly mandatory. They're calling it mandatory. Okay. And also they're making sure that you have and the only way you can enter, they want you to have a Q code, and also, like, they're trying to point out that you won't be able to purchase anything unless you have a Q code, or that you have all these whatever passport. That's just, which is bullshit, because there's a lot of mom and pop businesses around that would rather do business with you anyways. So I tell people, focus on the farmers and anybody who's in your local region. Start thinking about these people that call emergency food. Start collecting your foods and your monies for a while. I don't see this really lasting for a long time. I really don't see it. It's almost like it may be I would say it'd be a temporary thing to hold over before the end of the year, but this whole crazy crap may begin around possibly late May, middle of June, and it'll probably be like this, a scare tactic for about maybe 3 or 4 months, up maybe 6 months of the max. But by January of next year, it's done. It's over. Like, as in, none of this actually control stuff anymore. Because, like I said before, they're trying to control. Like, even Canadian Tire came on board. Now Canadian Tire actually has these little machines now that and it's a face thing. And Amazon's doing it in other stores. There's actually Amazon or the company, I can't remember, one organic store came on board working with Amazon. So they're doing what Amazon wants them to do. You actually have this cart, new shopping carts. And once you walk into the building, and you don't even have to use your credit card. You walk into the building, and once you put the food or item in your cart, it automatically deducts what you owe. And by the time you're done, you can walk out the store, and it already it'll do a full tabulation, and then automatically takes money out of your bank account without you would even have to wait at that machine. Meantime, if there's ever a mistake and you didn't want it, you could take it out and it'll actually deduct it. So the machine is actually in the cart. Okay. Why is Trudeau in Hollywood? Why was he there? I strongly believe that he's avoiding Parliament because he knows very well he's in deep trouble. A lot of people are trying to fight back right now, for the rights against what's going on. And, my thoughts are, who really is in control? Who's really controlling what's going on? Is it really Trudeau, or is it someone else who's telling him what to do, which we already know who that is? And why do we have a smart city? Why do they want to call us? Because, I mean, there's a guy on video. He's South Asian. He's the one that helped create the smart city in Surrey here in BC in Canada. And he called this the very first smart city. Well, it's not the very first smart city, and he's calling it a smart. He said it's his idea. No, it's not his idea. There's smart cities everywhere, but they want you to think that is what it is. They're calling it a smart city, and so they want everybody who's got all the amenities and everything. You'll be very happy where you're here. You don't have to worry about going anywhere else. No, I don't want to be in one location the rest of my life. I don't. It's like a prison. I want my freedom. I want to travel like I always do. I'm not going to have some little fart tell me what to do. None. Anybody tries to stop me, watch me, right? Watch. Because you have the Nuremberg Code 2.0, you got the Geneva Convention protecting you. Always announce that to the people, even the owners of the buildings, of the businesses, making sure and say, look, if you're preventing me from purchasing product in your store, then you're breaking all the military laws because you're breaking the Nuremberg Code. That means you are working for the Nazis and you represent the Nazis, and also it's under the Geneva Convention as well. So that means that you yourself, the company that you represent, or though if you're the owner, you're going to prison very soon. So if you want to keep up this work and thinking you're going to get away with it, you will be reported, and you need to report it, and then let them worry themselves sick, because they'll end up turning around and not wanting to do this anymore. Like, let's put it this way. No store, corporation will ever want to come on board unless someone higher above them is offering them something that they can benefit. That's why they're doing this. Okay? It's something to do with this is what they're doing. Okay? This is their way of trying to make these corporations feel like, well, if you do this to the people, and lower the labor, that's what they're doing. They're taking labor away from their business. And so they're saving labor and saving money by not hiring people. That's not one of their big major goals. We'll do you a favor. We'll give you this, this, and this, and this if you get rid of these people. We want you to help us starve them. That's exactly what they're trying to do. I try to tell people, don't quit your job. And if you want to, because I actually will be honest with you, if this really did carry on for the rest of our lives, if when a next child is born and that child said, Mom, what did you do for a living when you were young? Oh, I was a cashier, right, in a store. The kid would say, well, what's a cashier? The kids would not know, because they would never heard of a cashier. Oh, well, I was a self-checkout. No, it doesn't work. That's how it works, guys. Is you think about the ires of losses of life, or losses of jobs. This is the year that they're going to try and take the jobs away from you, that you won't have anything. And like I always give people, when I do give people readings, and I give them hope, because I tell them, if you're going to start something up, start your own business. If you're going to work for somebody else, make sure you find your own security. Why? Because you're the one that's not applying for the job. You're offering your services to work for the company. Okay? Would they not have to introduce population control to make these smart cities work? No, they wouldn't have to introduce population control, because they already know. Bill Gates even announced that his goal was to depopulate 2 billion people, and he already did. They all have to be honest about this. I mean, this basically, you have to tell you the truth. And right now, what's left of the 2 billion, after the 2 billion, is considered as a life, it was called a profit. You're considered as a profit now to them. You've already made your investment. Now the rest is profit. Okay, so all the big V bottles that went out there in your that was jabbed in your arm, that was at first jabbed in your arm, those were the 2 billion that they actually wanted to get done, and they already passed that 2 billion. Now the rest is profit. And so the remaining investors who actually out there have done it, which is Trudum, and also what's her face? There's 3 or 4 of them in the Liberal Party. They invested in it, in the Moderna. And Krista Freeland is one of them, but there's 2 more. I can't remember the 2 ladies' names. So these are investors. They've already done it. So these people are, I mean, we already know these people are, the original ones have already gone bye-bye. In fact, Bonnie Henry here in BC, who called herself the I don't know what the hell she wants to call herself because she's not what she is. But anyways, the real Bonnie Henry's gone. But this one here actually is a replacement, so to speak. Clone. Um, but I don't like using those words anymore because it's not even important, regarding health, because they're not even health authorities. They're no longer, they never were health authorities. Who gave them the authority to be health authorities? Think about it. Who gave them the authority? Didn't make any sense. Was it Trudeau that gave him authority to be, okay, I want you to take this position to do this. I want you to tell him what to do. Okay. So here's the thing. Trudeau never was a leader, never has been a leader, but you let him be leader. Okay. You voted for the guy to represent you, but he didn't represent you. He represented himself. Look at your laws. Okay. Your maritime law. Look it up. Maritime law. As soon as a politician comes in and gets voted in, they're no longer working for you. They're working for themselves. They're investors. They invest in you. That's what they are. They invest in you. I mean, we're all investors in each other, but their investments in the millions. They invest. They want to take your money away from you because they're not trying to sell something. They're taking something because they want to make you feel guilty that you have to hand it over. And even your life, you're handing your life over to them, and they take great pleasure doing it. They're not a doctor. They don't. I mean, look at Bill Gates. He's not a doctor, but why are people calling him doctor now? He never was. He's an investor. But people out there call him Dr. Gates. Well, he's not. His great-grandfather was. Yes, he was a doctor, but he wasn't a doctor. He was a scientist. Okay. Yeah, barter is coming back. And yeah, barter. And bartering is, I mentioned this before last week. Bartering is considered one of the oldest trade in the world. Done with doctors, lawyer services, vehicles, products. There's always been a barter, and there's an overabundance of stuff people are buying now. They're selling. We always barter for this and barter for that, so it'll be around. We'll never be without food. We'll never be without what we need. And in fact, all the neighbors are going to actually watch over each other now. It'll end up being where we'll all watch over each other. Don't hate your neighbor. You need your neighbor. Okay, you may not like the guy once in a while, but sometimes he's going to need you, or because he won't know what to do, he'll feel confused. Yeah. So, okay, Travis says, when my job was open to apply for again, they requires 3, and a boost. Yeah. And you said no. So I lost my job to some old creep who now works that gym. But guess what? That creep is actually not going to be here that long, Travis. Now you know. He's not going to be around long enough because he already took too many snake bites. We already know that. So you're still a pure blood. Okay? And that he's the true blood because he's First Nations. But he's a pure blood, true blood brother. Good guy. Absolutely fabulous fellow. By the way, Travis is an actor. If you want to hire him to do any movies or commercials, guys, here's a guy to talk to. He's really good. He's a very talented man. Artist, fantastic. You see his work. Wow. Absolutely fantastic. He's actually in the YouTube chat room, but he's actually an actor. He's done some TV shows. He's good at it. Yeah, because before that he was busy in acting, and then as soon as they start to do the demands that you have to do this and dunking the nose, he wouldn't do it because he knew very well what was in it. Travis is smart, very smart man. Okay, he's had his share of UFOs too, by the way. Yes, he has. Let's see. Would they not have to introduce population control to make these smart cities work? Yeah, we've read this before. Yeah. Well, that's basically what they're trying to do. has tried to control what's in the smart to create smart cities. That was their major goal was to create population control. But the thing is that, how many people can live in a smart city, in the 6 square blocks? But it's not going to last that long. Like I said before, we're going to get all this back and some. We're going to have more freedom than ever before. It'll be way, way better. We're just going through we have to go through a bit. I'll tell you about what's going to happen. And then this is my understanding of this. And I will use the word understanding, not understanding, but understanding, because we're under this for a while, for a short, brief while. What's going to happen is we have to see the movie. Okay. The movie it's called a military tribunal. It hasn't happened yet. Now, as a few days ago, we've already had our EBS, okay, Emergency Broadcasting System. It came up. That's to let us know that's about to begin. As in, we're going to be, they're showing us that's what's going to come out. Be prepared for it. That's in Canada, all of Canada. And it's actually a good thing for all of us. But what's going to happen is that we'll on TV, we're down the road, and it will be not too long, but it'll happen either within this year or the beginning of next year for sure, positively, because they can't delay it any longer. There will be military tribunal. They'll be on TV on a channel, but all the channels you see on TV won't be there. They'll be all turned off, and every channel, in fact, will be all of the same thing. That military tribunal. They will be trying, okay, on trial, and there'll be probably many other channels too, probably with other people, because they'll be trying over 400,000 cases. There'll be 300 judges trying all these people. And this is actually all to do with Guantanamo Bay as well as Guam. Okay, there's a new prison that's built in Guam. And because they had no room, they went from Guam to another country, which was Iceland, and that one's full. Now they have to move to Guam. So, sorry, not Iceland, Greenland. They had to move. 2 prisons. If I'm correct, please stand correct on this. I know where it was: Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Then there's Greenland, and there's also Guam. So there's 3 locations, maybe 4. And there's also floating prisons on barges, and they haul them from across the water to the A location. So that's probably the barges that are taken to Guam. Yes, yesterday, Catherine, yesterday received Mercy Alert. Yeah, and I believe BC and Ontario got them. Yeah, today North Carolina got Amber Alert. Yeah, everybody is getting Amber Alerts. When it goes to all across the world, be prepared for the shift. Be prepared for the news. It is going to be so cool. It's exciting because this is going to happen. Now, I strongly feel, I wouldn't put past it. It will be the beginning. I'm hoping by mid-year, it will be the military tribunal. That we may end up losing our internet service and or phone lines for at least 10 days. There will be emergency phone lines available to reach out if necessary. But as far as they want you to see what all these bad people had done, and I'll show you something, guys, that here's my hint. Okay. And all these people that's connected to this symbol are going bye-bye. Okay. They've already gone bye-bye or going bye-bye. So now you see, that's what this is. Now you know. Okay, so this was presented to me. I'm not going bye-bye. This was given to me by my very good friend Jordan Maxwell, because he lived in California, and he called it Hollywood for achievement. That was my achievement. But this has a purpose. This is a story to the whole thing, a symbolism of it. He presented to me for a reason. It wasn't because I earned something from it, because he let me know you'll understand the symbol of it, and I do understand the symbol of it. So that's why I keep this. I did appreciate his knowledge, because Jordan Maxwell was one of the best researchers. Over 60 years of research, this man was phenomenal in his work. And Johnny Enoch, very good friend of mine, he spent a lot of quality time with the man for a long time, for a few years. Same with Danny and Brinkley, and there's a few other people that he was very close friends with. Even he spent time with Zachary Sitchin, if anybody knows who he is. And also Jordan had the opportunity. That's why Jordan and I got along so well. He had the opportunity to meet the Anunnaki as well as I did. That was the cool part. He met them and I met them. I met them after Jordan did. Jordan met them a lot of years before me. So yeah, and everyone misunderstands what the Anunnaki are about. They're thinking that they were reptilians. No, they're not. Anunnaki were not reptilians. They're people like you and I. They're not evil. Okay, everybody's different, but that's what I'm trying to point out. Catherine says to Travis, I modeled years ago, but I found out about Prime, Disney, etc. Why I said to the man who even gave me papers for this series, I went, no, I know what you all have done. Shame. Yeah. So let's see here. Yeah, during 2021, I got an offer for Disney before I found out about all the horrible stuff that they wanted me to get. 3 Travis mentioned. Okay, and then the boosters. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hello. Yes. Okay. Haven't seen any EBS here in Arizona yet. Okay, but back in the East, yeah, Nova Scotia got their EBS too. I remember seeing it. Some people actually on the Telegram page are sharing photographs from their phones, which EBS has come through. I saw the one in Nova Scotia, one in Ontario, BC, Saskatchewan. So it's already hit across Canada. So, and even if anybody's got a smart TV, it'll come across your screen. And it came out red. When it shows red, shit's gonna happen. I mean, I'm telling you guys, all these things start to come forward. See, I will say this, and I'm going to point this out. One thing, I'm strongly thinking of the smart city as a distraction. Okay, just a distraction, because there's more to all this. There's something here that they want us to fight. I mean, I already know they want us to fight back and say, no, we're not going to accept this crap, and we're going to protest, because we in Canada are lazy. Like I said before, we need to get out there and say, no, we're not going to take this crap no more. That's it. Right. And if anybody else actually has an opinion or a thought form why they made an EBS, why would they do an EBS alert? But I did warn them before. I warned you guys before. As soon as the EBS comes out, not because of missing kids, this is all through the emergency broadcasting system. This is an EBS for one reason, and it wasn't just a test. Okay, that means they found more kids from underground. Okay, that's why the EBS alert came up. That's part of it. They rescued more kids all over the world. So wherever it comes out, that's where they rescued them. So things are going to happen. And I just know this is going to be, and I mean, I'm not upset, but I like to make sure that you guys understand that not to be frightened, not be scared, or even lose faith in the world, or lose faith in God, or lose faith in your life. Focus, live life for the fullest. I mean, you're brought here for some really great reasons. And that is, each of us have a purpose, because if we didn't have a purpose in life, we wouldn't be here right now. I mean, like I said before, talked to Rob Mercury last night. We talked for a long time, and Rob's getting prepared for his next whiteboard warrior story. And this guy, if you ever want to find him, go look for Rob Mercury family and join the page. You'll see a lot of great stuff. Join as a connection with them, because you'll see a lot of good stuff with Rob Mercury. but he's very straight up. This guy actually is a remote viewer like me. That's what him and we remote viewed together. We did it in a case, and I won't say that it is, but we did a remote view together, and both of us were exactly the same in our remote view. So for what we're asked to look for, so it all came the same because Mix wanted to get a confirmation in the same investigation, but she never told me exactly anything that Rob had said. She wanted me to tell her what I saw. So then they compared notes and they both were the same. So that was cool. Okay. Here's a man who lives in South Africa. I'm living here in Canada, and both of us have the same vision. Same vision, remote viewing. That's why we are working so hard. Catherine, dumb's cleaned and to be clean 10,000. It was horrific. Yeah, exactly. They're still finishing off Vancouver. Um, See, anytime that they have to, like, sure, people are upset the fact they had to get the homeless off the street and move them. Okay, that's horrible. Yes, but they had to clean. They had to take off the street for one reason. They had to catch the bad guys from under the city because it was a child trafficking organization under this underground tunnel under the city, and they want the people off the street so they can get the bad guys. Okay, if the bad guys escaped in the middle of all that homeless area, then they never would have caught the bad guys. This way here, the streets are clear. It's easier for the military to scoop. They had to do it that way. That's the only way they can do the cleanup. Okay, I was upset at first. Um, Yeah, last year, Catherine said, last year I talked to the men on the main street who was doing lighter, LIDAR. What's lighter? I mean, it must be a drug. So, yeah, instead of doing all over Vancouver. Yeah. So, thing is, like, people may not realize, but Canada or BC is considered where Vancouver was considered one of the second largest underground human trafficking in the world, next to Ukraine. So, there's a major cleaning out from underground. And this is not just 10, 20 years worth. This is hundreds of years. This is an accumulation of saying we got to clean up this and get rid of it. And so this is the special special alliance forces went under there and took them out, took all these bad boys away. So, and they're still trying to get kids. So some of these odd guys in the street still trying to get kids. In fact, they caught a guy in Olds, Alberta, and he was a human trafficker. They caught him in Olds, Alberta, which I used to live in Olds, and they went after him and caught him. So he's gone done. Um, you'll start seeing some of the pedophiles that are being released too soon on the street, and they're saying, they arrest them and let them go back, let them go again, and wait till they go to court. Well, not anymore. Not anymore, because they can't release them. If the judges do, that means the judges will go to jail too. They're not supposed to do that. Yeah. So, yeah. Anything else? So, you guys got any questions? Feel free to call 360-566-2875. 360-566-2875. And any questions regarding what I talked about this evening, please give me a scream, and we'd like to hear from you guys. And within the next few minutes, if it hasn't, then we're going to call it a night. I think you guys learned a lot for this evening. There's going to be this coming weekend. I will be, if you guys want to find me, this coming Saturday, I will be in Chilliwack at the Heritage Hall or Heritage Building, which actually it's a big red barn, and I'll be there selling my wares. I'm actually an indigenous artisan, but because it's called a tailgate crystal and rock show, and I'll be in that building doing the tailgate crystal rock, and I'll be selling my wares. And the reason my wares all relates to crystals and stones, but I put the crystal stones on them, so it's not just selling crystals. So, but I'm part of that. I'll be there for the whole day, and that is, I'll give you the date of it, which is this Saturday, May the 13th. The Rock Lovers Pit Stop organizes the annual tailgate sale that takes place on Saturday, the BC Gem Show. Tailgate sales are informal. Anyone with the Rock sells, contact. Okay, so I'll be there at Chilliwack Heritage Park. Address is 44140 Luckakuk Way in Chilliwack here in BC. It's called the 2023 Spring Tailgate Sale, and I will be there. Time is from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. I will be there this Saturday. So you have to come down to and say hi to me. If you're not there just to buy anything, come and say hi. Just say, hey, Derek, I saw you on the show last week, this past the Thursday. Hey, nice to see you again. Right? Eva, come down, right? And have a look and see what you think. It'll be a lot of fun to do. Again, repeat one more time. The Spring Tailgate Sale. I'll be there this weekend, this Saturday, all day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at this Chilliwack Heritage Park. Address is 44140 Luckakuk Way, and that's in Chilliwack, BC. And the week after that, I'll be doing a 4-day powwow, sell my wares in the Indigenous village, and I'll be there for 4 days on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That's a long weekend. I'll be there, right? So it's gonna be busy, busy, busy. But come and see me and see what I've got set up for this coming Saturday. You'd be surprised. My booth will be a 6x12, big, right? And you'll see all my stuff and have some fun to have a look. Okay. Anyways, guys, it's wonderful to see you all, and I love you and leave you guys, and God be with you all. Have a great week. And have a great coming weekend, and love the heat. It's going to get hot. Make sure you guys get cooled off. Make sure you have plenty of it. If you don't have an air conditioner, find one. Get one in your house as soon as possible. If not, always stay cool. Bring plenty of water with you when you travel. At least you keep your cool. And anything else on top of that? Take care of each other. We'll talk to you guys next week. In the meantime, and in between time, another edition of my show, Between Two Worlds, Shadow Chasing. Take care of each other, guys. We'll see you guys later. Get my music up, and come on, turn on. Take care. Everyone lives, everyone dies. Everyone loves, everyone cries. Round the world, we're all alike. So why is there war? Why do we fight? There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, all we gotta learn to live together. Peace, peace. Isn't it time for the time? Isn't it time, mother, stop crying? Stop the fighting and the hate. We gotta make peace before it's too late. There's one sea, one sky, one earth. So you and I gotta learn to live together. When one hurts, when one needs, we gotta learn to live together. Peace in peace, in peace. All right, peace, peace together. Peace.